If I could have everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mayor Racy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Here.
Councilman Miller,
Present.
Councilman Webster,
Here.
Councilman Dowd,
Here.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Here.
Councilman Wagner.
Here.
Quorum is present. Item number 1 is approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Support. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2 is city council minutes. 2A, regular meeting of May 7th, 2019.
Move to approve.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is presentations. 3A, Police Officer of the Year, Officer Chad Colwell.
So Officer Chad Colwell distinguished himself in 2018 through a strong work ethic, professionalism, loyalty, and integrity. He has a strong understanding of criminal laws and procedures. In 2018, he pursued an armed robbery suspect on foot. He apprehended the suspect safely. I'll just add that I saw the surveillance video of him chasing this armed robbery suspect. I'm telling you, that suspect did not stand a chance. It was excellent. His unfailing commitment to the department is an asset to his fellow officers in the community. Officer Colwell is truly deserving of the title and honor of Wayne Police Department Police Officer of the Year.
I think I'll be covered.
Yeah, get everybody just to squeeze in a little bit. So I get a good one. Okay, just a little bit more in on this end.
Like you like each other.
Okay.
Ready? All right, let's go.
Thank you. So we have a resolution from the mayor and city council I'd like to read. Whereas Officer Chad Colwell has been given special recognition by being named Police Officer of the Year for 2018, and whereas Officer Colwell has earned this honor by displaying behavior that exemplifies the core values of the Wayne Police Department, he has been a consummate professional who operates with integrity, dedication, a strong work ethic, and diligence while maintaining fairness, respect, and compassion for the community he serves. And whereas Officer Colwell was hired as a police officer by the City of Wayne in December of 2015, and whereas Officer Colwell is assigned to the road patrol where he consistently works hard without complaint. He is highly motivated, he is well respected inside and outside the department, and he is looked up to by his peers and supervisors, and he is well known in the department to have a vast knowledge of criminal laws and relevant court cases. And whereas Officer Colwell has a true passion for law enforcement, he leads by example and is a model officer for all to follow. He is committed to combating crime and making the community a better place to live. And whereas in September of 2018, Wayne officers responded to an armed robbery at a local drugstore. Responding officers determined that the suspect fled on foot. Officer Colwell pursued the armed suspect on foot and safely apprehended him. The suspect was arrested and the gun used in the robbery was recovered. Officer Colwell's quick thinking and bravery helped him keep our community safe. And he has taken a strong interest in training his fellow officers by becoming an emergency vehicle operations instructor and field training. And now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor John Racy, on behalf of the Wayne City Council and citizens of Wayne, do hereby commend and congratulate Officer Chad Colwell on being given special recognition for true professionalism and dedication to the community by being named Police Officer of the Year for 2018.
You know, it's been tradition. It's a token of our appreciation for the police officer who go beyond the normal thing on daily basis and take the risk and the chance to keep this community safe. And we show our appreciation by presenting the resolution in behalf of the Wayne County Commissioner of the district. And this community, it's more to me than a commissioner district. It's my hometown. And I want to thank you for keeping our community safe. And the city of Wayne have one of the excellent police department. And every year we have one of you show up and we show our appreciation. So congratulations and keep up the good work. Can I get the name? I have some stuff came and it caught my attention at SEMCOG for the bicycle rider at night. They should have a light for safety, and I thought of the bike club in the city of Wayne, so I bought those. And if anybody doesn't have a bike, the mayor would buy one. And, yes.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, officer.
I just wanted to thank all the officers for coming out and congratulations. But I just wanted to say, I'm looking forward to having you guys come here again and as we swear in another officer here soon. So I hope you guys continue to bring us more officers. So I like seeing you guys. So come on back. Okay, thanks.
Item number 4 is public hearing 4A, public hearing to consider the proposed fiscal year 1920 budget and millage rates.
Okay, the public hearing's now open. You can give an explanation, sure. Thanks, Katie.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This public hearing is for the fiscal year 20 budget. The city has many challenges, but it is slowly growing some stability. As a result, our general fund budget is conservative, with the hope that we will have better performance as the year goes. We did not budget for any revenue that we are not certain of. We do anticipate expenses as accurately as possible. And we have made a few investments back into the city for this budget for essential services. However, we still need to exercise caution to ensure that our path towards stability continues on an upward trend.
Okay. I want to just say one other thing, just so everybody knows, that the Meals on Wheels wasn't in the budget, but Meals on Wheels is in the budget now, just so you guys are all aware of that before you come up, if that's a question. Okay, go ahead. 3 minutes.
There is a 3-minute time limit? Okay. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I stood in front of you at the last council meeting and brought to your attention something that I thought was an error that's in the budget. And now looking at the budget in hard copy, I realize that the error still exists. And the error is that there is no funding for the senior services. And the lady who preceded me mentioned the word essential services. I suspect that senior service is not an essential service. And my goodness gracious, the seniors of the city of Wayne are the heartbeat of our community. They are the soul. They're the people who get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on election day, 40 to 50, sometimes 60, not because it's a great paying job, because they care for this city. They're the people who volunteer for Main Street. They're the people who volunteer in conjunction and collaborate with the Rotary Club. And I say it's an error because there was any notification given to the Commission on Aging, its members, in writing, or a personal visit by the administration or by you, the council members. So my recommendation is that to repair that error, that you vote no on the budget, reinsert the budgeted amount that we had last year, which is about $32,000, and extend it for one more year, and then approve it that way. In the meantime, during that year that's coming up, we can work together, if we're so approached, and helping you in reorganizing or doing whatever is necessary to have a smooth transition to another process, another method, another entity to continue to service our seniors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I too support the seniors program. I've used it a couple times, once for asking a question of an attorney and once for asking questions about income tax. Unfortunately, I've not been able to use them for trips or playing games, but hopefully in the future I could do that. I've been asked by speaking to several of the council members about where would we get the money. Well, my suggestion is that years ago, there was a suggestion made to close City Hall on Friday to save money. Well, if we truly close City Hall on Fridays and everybody worked a 32-hour work week, we could pay for seniors. And we could also ask the Wayne Westland school system why they can help fund a program in Westland and not in Wayne. I understand they get $18,000 to help fund their program. So I'm here to say, I hope you all vote no on this budget. Thank you.
Nancy Pride. I wasn't here for the one meeting that was a surprise to everybody, but could somebody tell me again where the money went? What did it go for? I thought it was said where it went.
The money that was allotted for that was in CDBG, and that funding has been, it was a grant and it's gone. They reduced it to 20,000. We used to get 120,000. So
Okay,
it's,
but I thought it was like 30,000 is what it got.
right, but we have to choose what we're going to spend that 20, and that has been allocated towards an ordinance officer, because we've had numerous people, residents, that tell us that they want ordinance, and we felt ordinance was the place to put it when we had, out of the two places.
Because it just seems that if you cut monies to the citizenry, it's not a good idea to do that, because like they were saying, they're the backbone of what made this city. And even though we're on a fixed income now, doesn't mean that we still don't have a need or an impact on the city. So now without those services, people are going to be more isolated and in their homes. And sometimes in circumstances, they might be more vulnerable because they're alone. So I'm really worried that they're not going to be able to be around friends to talk to and places of meeting that's safe. Thank you.
Chris Sanders. I too support the senior program. However, I understand the type budgeting issues face the city still. I would like to ask through the chair, I don't know if it's the economic development, or not the economic development, or the finance director, or Plant Moran is here, I'm not sure. After looking at the hard copy of the budget, there's some glaring things that I see compared to the original requests and the final budget submission, or the budget submission that the city administration put towards the council. First is, why is it that certain departments, specifically the personnel department, can't think of the other one, has, and I think the Economic Development Department does not have monies associated with their retirement fund, MERS payment. However, the courts and I know the DPW has their workers and the police department, but the department heads and what have you, they don't have, the court and the finance has an astronomical figure. Specifically, the court has I think upwards of $120,000, and the finance department has $50,000 payment. Why are the other two departments not allocated, or is all of that money coming out of one of the other departments? First question. Second question is, there's an additional $14,000 over last year's budget allocated for the city manager's budget. And I do know that was, and I'd like to know what has increased in that budget, seeing as though that the city manager's contract is a set dollar amount, and it's $10,000 per month. Specifically, and I'm curious to find out if that is not, for the lack of another word, a slush fund, in order to, because I do know that the original budget request of the personnel director was almost $15,000 more than what she is getting in her budget. However, is that a way in which to to put that money aside for her to use in that department later instead of funding the senior department? That's what I'd like to know.
Katie, you want to come up and?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The way that the MERS expense works, it depends on what division an employee is. We have several divisions. We have Department Head 1, which is the department heads who have been here for a while. Department Head 2, which are the newer employees like me. We have police, fire, court, all of these all separate divisions, and all of them have an expense to them that's based on a percentage of the payroll. So the percentage for some of the newer employees is lower because the MERS liability is lower. So the departments that were mentioned, such as finance and clerk, those have newer employees, so they have less MERS expense. And court has a longtime employee, so it has a higher MERS expense. So that's how it works. Those percentages come from MERS, the retirement system. And then for the city manager budget, the $14,000, that is a placeholder for a position that used to be a floater position, and it's unfilled. That doesn't go towards the city manager, but if we needed to hire someone to help with the project, that's what that would be for, and it's been unfilled for 3 years. That's all. Thanks.
We got somebody in the back first, if that's, he's had his hand up for a few people.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
Good evening.
Council. Today's date is Thursday, May 9, according to the Observer and Excentra Media newspaper, of which we pay money to have advertised in their public hearings. I want to let you know I was here about a month, or within a week. This is a copy I asked for at the desk of the city clerk. They did not have one readily available. They had to go search in the back room, and they said they found somebody's newspaper, and I asked politely, can I please have a copy of that? They photographed it for me, folded 4x4, and there you have it. I asked them, there's 2 postings on there for some John Doe commissions out there, but there's no posting on this public hearing of our expenses and monies for the whole year, which is our finances, of which we are here supposedly under this public hearing, supposed to be able to ask questions of you. Also, in reference to that, I see the magic clock is running. This is a public hearing, of which it should be a public hearing with no clock running. This is the second time that this has commenced and conveniently done by blending in a public hearing within the agenda, 4B. Or is it B4? Number 4, public hearing. Now, it says on here that we start at 8 o'clock for the public hearing, but we had other business to take care of. And I wish that our city council would be straightforward, have public notices. The public can come in and read their board. I got such a turnaround from people saying, well, you should have rated it on cable. You should have it on the web. I don't have that, and I don't have that. What is wrong with transparent government of having the posting of the document on the bulletin board? What are we trying to hide? Then you can't have it. Oh, can I have a copy of that budget? Sure.
Yeah.
It's not ready yet, but you can come back tomorrow.
Vic, your 3 minutes are up. I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Your 3 minutes are up.
3 minutes do not occur in a public hearing.
They do.
No, they do not, sir.
I-
You have conveniently
sorry.
done it that way.
Vic,
Don't interrupt me,
no,
please.
Vic, please.
Please, sir. Please, sir.
Vic,
I don't want to get arrested like anybody else, okay?
Vic, please sit down.
Okay, I've asked a question, and have you responded?
You can sit down and I'll answer your question.
I'm not sitting down. And I'm going to tell you some dollar figures then. 3 minutes this is a public hearing, sir. I'm not interrupting it. I'm part of the meeting. I'm part of the meeting. Let me just close as I walk away with $17,000 in subscriptions. You want to join that association this year? We're supposed to be cutting our belt and tightening it. $17,000 from one department has spent subscriptions and memberships, another $7,000 for another one.
Vic, your time's over.
Don't look at me so daringly. And there's another $18,000, another $39,000.
Kathy, you can come on up. Sorry about that.
Kathy Rockwell. I've been really upset, had to end up at the doctor's office today with high blood pressure because of this console. It's true. I take everything to heart. I talked to Mr. Coleman and Eon from his department, and none of them can understand why we're not going to have a senior program. They're flabbergasted that we would even try to compare the Wayne Westland, or the Westland senior compared to ours. We don't even have a building. How can the comparison, how can you compare the, you know, what do I want to say, what she has to offer? And I talked to Barbara and Markman, and she said that she has 100 people from Wayne that has come there. Sometimes she has more or less because of people, snowbirds coming and going and so on. And then when I talked to Ian, he said he talked to this Barbara and that Lisa and somebody else was supposed to be trying to get Nankin writing, whatever they call it, to work with them, transit to work with them. And she said she knows nothing about it. Nankin Transmit doesn't even go over there. But she said Lori did call her and ask how many went there. I talked to Al Halis. He said he can't understand why we're canceling it outside of the $20,000. Now, some of you say we're getting 20, some of them say we're not getting 100,000. What are we getting? We're just seeing more and more confusion, and this one says this, that one says that. I really don't know what's true and what isn't true. And I'd like to encourage each and every one of you to consider keeping the program. I think it's vital to the citizens, and Nancy's a wonderful director, and she's not there for the money. She's there for us people and us citizens, and she cares more about that. And I hope you have it in your hearts to try to find a way to keep the program. And let's see what else. And if you do decide to do away with the program tonight, there's an ordinance 282 that talks about our committee. And if you do dispense with it, we have to put it on the agenda to amend it to do away with our program. Thank you, and I hope you all have a heart.
Anybody else?
Yes, I have one more question.
Nancy, I'm sorry, you've already come
It's
up
okay,
once.
it's going to be brief.
You can't.
You told me 120,000 is what the grant was. I just want to know if that's a yes or no. It was a grant that was
The
120,000.
CDBG funds were 120,000. It's now
Does it
20,000.
all go for the senior center?
It was a portion. Now we only get 20,000.
Well, I understand that, but in the beginning, if that's true and they only got 30,000, there was 90,000 that wasn't accounted for.
We don't get that money. It doesn't come to the city. The county is keeping the money, and we've talked about that in previous council meetings.
I'm not talking about it right now, I'm talking about when the grant was first given.
They changed the formula, and it's now only $20,000 to the city.
That's now, I'm talking about the grant.
The past was 120. It just changed. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, then I guess, okay. I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5 is requests. 5A is declare May as Cycle Awareness Month in the city of Wayne. There's a proclamation
Okay.
that I would like to read.
Wonderful.
City of Wayne Cycle Safety Proclamation. Whereas with warmer,
Yeah,
Yep,
made a motion.
yes, I did.
whereas with warmer weather here, it's time to remind everyone to be on the alert for motorcyclists and bicyclists. And whereas due to their smaller size, motorcycles and bicycles may be easily overlooked in traffic flow. And whereas both cyclists and motorists need to be aware of their surroundings by checking blind spots, mirrors, and using turn signals when changing lanes and when passing. And distracted driving has been on the rise, and distracted driving could mean the difference between seeing a cyclist or not. Cyclists need to take precautions by taking defensive driving courses, wearing protective gear, and keeping their bike in its best working condition. And motorcyclists and cyclists ask that motorists get in the habit of looking for cyclists as they drive, both during Cycle Safety Awareness Month and throughout the season. Now, therefore, I, Mayor John P. Racy, do hereby proclaim that May 2019 as Cycle Safety Month Cycle Safety Awareness Month in the city of Wayne, and encourage all citizens to support the efforts of cycle safety and to share the road safely.
Thank you. I think Councilman Miller is the one that did that. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome, Mayor
and-
Racy.
And then,
And also, I want to also acknowledge Councilman Dowd, because he is an avid motorcyclist, and he clearly understands what it's like to be on the road, on and off the road.
yep, I agree.
Thank you.
Did you have anything, Kevin? Okay,
I just appreciate the notification.
yep, you're welcome. Okay, go ahead and move the agenda.
Okay, next item is number 6, bid awards. 6A is approval of the bid award for the removal and replacement of the Wayne Library roof, subject to a written contract acceptable to both the city and the vendor. Bidder, Construction Services Group, Kalamazoo, Michigan, for $136,017. Bloom Roofing of Brighton, Michigan, for $171,670. Leduc Roofing and Sheet Metal of Oak Park, Michigan, for $195,475. Jarvis Property Restoration of Harrison Township, Michigan, for $227,352. And Quality Roofing, Whitmore Lake, Michigan, $249,986.
Motion to approve low bidder Construction Services Group, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Support.
Any questions? Any?
Are you with the council first or the audience?
Council first.
Mayor Racy, I just would, is there anyone here that can explain a little bit about this? I did have a couple questions. Is this going to be a complete strip off, or is this going to be just put on top of it? Just some of those basic logistics. I was wondering was if this is a metal roof, is that metal going to be recycled? Are we going to recoup some monies from that?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we've had a leaky roof at the library for quite some time. It's been a frustration to us, and we've finally, through our current administration and funding, have opportunity to replace that roof, the rubber roof. So what we're doing is we're taking off that initial coating, the top coating, and then we're looking at the decking that's underneath it. If the decking is in good shape, we're going to leave it just the way it is. If we have any pieces of decking, it's in the contract to be able to replace a portion of decking necessary to have a good subsurface, and then we'll put on a new rubber coating on top of that and reseal everything.
So that, I'm sorry, so that's not a metal roof, it's
It's a rubber.
poly.
That's an EDPM.
Okay,
Well, there's parts that are about, there's different surfaces, but the main roof is,
The part that we're going to
that we're
replace.
visually seeing, I believe, is metal, but
Yeah.
beyond that, it's flat.
Yes,
correct.
you have the the part of the roof that's on the edges that is a different material, that we're not disturbing that. We are only replacing the major part of the roof within that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Just curious, did the bidders, just to try to understand if we're going to have more cost, did they come out to inspect before they put the bid, or was this just based on?
Yes,
an
they
RFP?
did. They coordinated with our, the head of the library, Ms. Wallach, and they visited the site. Yep.
Okay, and then timeline as far as commitment to get the repairs going? I know that we're behind because the roof's pretty dilapidated. Are we able to, what's the timeline to get it implemented?
We'll, if council approves, we'll notify the low bidder tomorrow. And then, like we typically do with low bid awards, and then they'll get their insurance together. We'll sit down, have a pre-construction meeting, and we'll start shortly after that. So it won't take too long to get going. Certainly this summer.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Anybody else on council?
Mayor Royce, I also just want to say, if this does get approved, we need to thank the residents, the voters, for making this possible. Otherwise, this could have been a prolonged process for us, I believe.
Very
So
good.
thank you to the residents and the voters in this community to make this possible.
Absolutely. I agree. Thank you, Mike, and your team. You guys have done an outstanding job in working with the library to get this moving faster and getting us better pricing. I know that there was a lot of pricing before, earlier on, so I appreciate everything you guys have been doing to work with the library also. So, anybody else? Eric, did you have a question still? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 7 is general items for consideration. 7A is approval of a memorandum of understanding between Wayne County Department of Health, Veterans, and Community Wellness and City of Wayne regarding mass prophylaxis dispensing.
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilman Wagner. Chief Strong, could you come up and explain what this is?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is simply a agreement between the city of Wayne and Wayne County in the event of some sort of serious emergency, like a flu pandemic or something like that. Wayne County would work with us to distribute the medication to our community, and we would basically, agree to let us use, like, say, City Hall or something.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Any questions from the community? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7B is approval of the proposed fiscal year 1920 budget millage rates, water rates.
You trying to make?
Yes, I wanted to see if we could amend the budget to include $5,000 for senior services.
You want to say that in a motion?
Oh, yes, I'd like to motion that we make an amendment to the budget to add $5,000 for senior services.
And then the rest of it's fine?
Yes. Yes.
I need a support. Okay.
Did you want me to talk about why? Okay.
Go ahead.
So the reason that I've made the proposal is because currently, as you know, that there is none in there for senior services to continue with, to have our own director, to pay for our directors. So I had a chance, as well as 2 other council members, to visit the Westland facilities, the Friendship Center, and also the Dyer Center. The Dyer Center actually is something that we already pay for with our tax money when we pay for Wayne Westland Schooling, the director over there, that comes out of your tax money already. There's a facility there and lots of things going on, and also lots of, it's real active. So it is $12 a year for the Dyer Center, And I also, when I visited the Friendship Center, the services there, as somebody had, Ms. Rockwell had stated before, you just can't compare. I was just really blown away by the services that they provide as well. I mean, just more than really just what you would expect from a senior service. They also have college courses that you could take. You could learn a foreign language. You can learn sign language, as well as all the other things that you would expect, the classes that they have for physical classes, physical activity and things like that. So the reason that I had asked to put some money in the budget for that is if any of the Wayne residents want to, since we're not funding our own program now, they want to become a member to either the Dyer Center or the Friendship Center, we would pay the $12 membership fee for them to be able to do that. I think that as far as the services goes, we would be getting a whole lot more for our money. And that's why I have proposed that we add $5,000 into the senior services. Thank you.
Mayor AC.
Yep.
I need to be very candid about my concerns about this budget, so please bear with me. 4 years ago, we made an investment with community development from part-time to full-time with the intention to rebuild our tax base. We also made an investment in a direction to Plant Moran to give us a clear picture of our financial dashboard in this community. Just in those two areas alone, I think it is now time for us to pull back those investments. And I'll explain why I'm saying this, because that's kind of how previous administrations and council, they were trying to pull the ship through a tough financial storm of 07, 08, 09, and it was a prolonged storm. They didn't pull out soon enough. What I'm saying is that 4 years ago, we made those investments, for example, community development, with the intent to rebuild our tax base. And in a recent publication, these are very advantageous accomplishments, don't get me wrong, okay? But the problem is it didn't increase our tax base, okay? And as for finance, the finance department, we now brought on another finance director. We're still paying out for Plant Moran. We should be backing out of that, those two investments. And really, senior services is essential in this community. We can debate all the stats about the population shift, what have you. Let's face it, population in our state and in our region is a lot higher today than ever. And it's essential. It's an essential service. We want young people to move to this community, but we also want this to be a community that you can retire in. And I think it's an important marketing tool for this community as well as have senior service. We should be really spending more for senior services, not less, and not at all. And what I'm trying to convey to you is that we've made some investments 4 years ago. We've seen the results. It's now time to pull back from those investments and let the market take its course. We have the most robust economy right now, the lowest unemployment rate since 1969. And I look back at the previous councils that earnestly made an effort to pull through those difficult times. That's where I see us falling into that same sort of pattern. We need to know when to pull out. And I believe in those two areas, we need to pull back and keep our senior services. That's all I have for right now.
Okay. Any other council members? Do you have anything, Tom?
I'm going to pass at the moment. Anybody else?
You guys don't have anything?
Good. Yes. It was,
I didn't hear a support.
The table was to amend the budget to add 5,000 for senior services.
and eliminate eliminate the program, is what you said? And then keep the rest of the budget the way that it was.
So that's an approval included of the budget.
I thought there was a second over here. I thought I heard one. It was you. Kevin did it, yeah. I heard a second. Thanks, Kevin.
Go ahead.
You sure? Okay. I guess I'm going to speak. I hope some more council would talk, but that's fine. This has been a very difficult thing to try to get her to look at and try to figure out what's the best for our community. I asked the city manager when she had told me she was looking at to eliminate a department, and I asked to receive. I wanted to find out who were we serving. I wanted to get names and some numbers, and so that I can talk to some people to see if I recognize names that people I would be able to talk to. And she had a hard time getting that, and we got a list of everything, and the program seemed to be that we had like 5 or 6 people in most of the programs, and there were some that were 20 to 30, some different programs, and but there were not, the participation level was what it was. But in the meantime, I had happened to see on Facebook. I remembered seeing a picture of Nancy Pride at an event at the Westland Senior Center. And so I wasn't even thinking that people were going to Westland. So I asked the administration to give me information on how many people were using the Westland. And I anticipated it was going to be 20 or 30 people. And when I found out the numbers of that, I was just really surprised. Now, I've been to their center, and I had an idea what was going on there. But I had asked the council members that approached me that had questions. I encouraged them to go and take a look at the Westland facility. I'd also encourage them to go to the Dyer Center, but I don't know that if anybody, I think you made it to the Dyer Center, to just see what the 2 different facilities were. And it just came to the conclusion that it seemed like it made the most sense that we had a lot of service that we can have for our citizens. And if we encourage our residents to use that as a service, I think our seniors are going to be served a lot more. Everything that we're offering here, they have over there and more. And I won't go through all the stuff, but I've got different programs, their newsletter, all the different trips that our seniors have the potential of going on that we're included right now, that they can do if they're a member. That's what the motion would allow us to have people be members of that. But it would be, I think we could provide a better service for less money. It's a tough decision, but if you really think about it, and in just my opinion, the senior center was damaged years ago when they were taken out of the other building, and the city reduced the money there. That's really when this all happened. This has been a problem. We don't have enough funding. We're not giving this program enough funding. Our seniors deserve more than what we're giving them, and I don't see where we're going to have the funding to be able to make it better anytime soon. So that's why I'm supporting what Councilwoman Skiff's proposal. I just don't see at the present time where we are going to be able to make this any better than what we currently have. And I think if the residents give it a chance, I think that they'll be pleasantly surprised. I'd still like to have a meeting with the Commission on Aging and talk about stuff and try to figure out what resources and different things. I think there still needs to be dialogue. There wasn't dialogue with them at this point because we didn't know what the council, if they did, and the council may still decide to vote against it. I don't know where everybody's at with this. But I think that we should we need to be looking for what's the best thing for our seniors. And I think, unfortunately, I think that this could be a better solution and we wind up with a better service all around. And it has nothing to do with the person that's been doing, they've been doing a great job with what they have. The city has not given and had the resources to give that department what they really deserve. And I think that's an issue. And like I said, I don't see us being able to increase that anytime soon. And I apologize for that, but it's a tough decisions that we're having to make and look at. We have to look at the big picture long term. And I just think that this makes a lot of sense long term for us. And if we find that we have money coming in, we can always revisit this. But we can. There is things like, I was talking to a resident and they said that they like to go to the senior center to do puzzles. We have puzzles and different things there's things at our library. We just passed the millage. There's a lot of stuff that people can do at the library too. Not everything that they do at the senior center, but we still have a library. We still can talk to the city if there's certain things that they want to do. We could try to figure out a solution. I know I talked to Main Street about a knitting thing. Maybe that's something they can do at the museum. There's still things that we're just going to have to reinvent what the senior resources is. I mean, I know it's not what we've grown to experience. It'll be different. But I think that in the long run, if people want to really make it something, we can still have a program and wind up making it really good. I know at the Dyer Center, talking to the director there, and they're giving her more hours than what we were able to do. But that person's the only paid on staff, and they have to get volunteers to make everything, and they have to raise their own funds to make everything happen. And it's just difficult in this whole thing. And when you look at the center in Westland, they've got 2,500 people that are using that facility right now. Now, not everybody's there at all the times, but they have the meals that they do for the members and all the different events. It's incredible what they have. I mean, I feel like I would love our seniors to be able to have that type of thing. We used to have at least something, not to that level, but when we had the center before, it was better than what we currently have because the council made that decision years ago. And it's, like I said, has nothing to do with the director. We just haven't had the finances to give her the resources she needs to make it happen the way that it could. I mean, I think it's like 12 or something hours a week that she's able to do that. And she does a lot with what she has to work with. But I think this makes a lot of sense personally. Any other council?
Mayor Racy, to your point, I think that senior services needs to be reinvented per se, but we need to do that before we cut it, okay? And not sever it without doing anything for it, okay? This piecemealing, something at a short notice on seniors is unacceptable. It really is. This is a basic service. That seal right there says people. That's what we're about. We're not a corporation, we're a community. And I really feel, and I was on the other side of this, but after thinking more and more about this, how much this does affect all of us and how it affects this community as a whole. I don't want to go to another community to be able to have fellowship with other seniors in this community. You're right. What happened at the WABC building did sever a lot of long-time friendships, as indicated on our webpage. Come to Wayne with long-time friendships. Well, here we are, severing more friendships. That's the wrong thing to do. And I believe that there is opportunities in this budget to reallocate our funding in directions. I said earlier, we made some investments in areas, and like, for example, community development, okay? We did achieve some goals there, but we also we had short-sighted some goals that we didn't have. And where is that increase in our basic services? We wouldn't have this discussion right now, okay, about senior services.
I disagree, but.
Well, you may, but I find it to be a different perspective. That's when we need to pull out, okay? We made an effort. We don't stick around and wait for the next opportunity to present itself. You got to make it's just like in the stock market. You know when to go in, you know when to go out. And that's what we need to do with some of our investments in some of our departments. We wanted to achieve certain goals with those investments 4 years ago. 4 years later, okay, we saw the results. All right? We need to look at different opportunities in marketing this community. We need to look at different avenues, not stay in those same avenues and think that someday, somewhere down that road, we need to look differently. And I feel us eliminating senior services is a marketing tool for this community. There's other communities that are award-winning communities to live in as seniors because of what they provide. That's what I want to live in, is a community where retirees can live in. And that's very important. They are the backbone of this community. They go to church every Sunday. They wake up every morning, as one of the residents indicated. They are resilient individuals that we could not be more grateful to have as a community. So that's what I have to say.
Okay.
Mayor?
Do you want to speak, Kelly? Do you want to speak first and then?
I was just going to say, I did try to reach out to people that were involved in our services here in Wayne. And one of the things that was never mentioned is the getting together. I've heard they mostly use Nancy. No, it's not. That they mostly use Nancy for what they like about the services is that they can call her anytime. She will answer any question that they have. Any resources, she gets them information. Never once was it mentioned to me anything about we like to come together and meet together and congregate together. It was never mentioned. And that very well may be going on, but it was something that was never mentioned to me. And the thing is again, the facilities that we use over at the Hype, we don't know how much longer we're going to have those. We don't know how much longer it's going to be around for us to utilize. I don't really like the characterization that we don't care, because ever since I found out that we were not going to be funding the senior services, it's been really upsetting to me. And I understand that, but I also understand the situation that we're in. As Nancy has stated at our budget session, if any of you watched it, she needs help. She doesn't have the help that she needs. She's not getting the funding that she needs. She's part-time, and she's working hours that she's not even clocking for services that, she's one person. And I don't think it's right to continue to fund something that it's not going to get any better. The situation for her is not going to get any better. The situation for our seniors is not going to get any better. We're not going to be able to provide them anything other than what we have. Many of the citizens in our city have already spoken. They take their business over to Westland. There's more over there utilizing the services over there than are here. And I understand, it was explained to me that this happened because a couple of years back, they were talking about doing away with the senior programs here. But these new ones, these are why we have a program here in Wayne going on. We have most of our citizens going over to Westland. And that's just the facts. And it is not that I don't care, or that any of these, that the council members don't care, or that we don't think seniors are important. We know they are. I know they are. I've been to the Rotary meetings. I've been to Main Street. I know who's there. It is the senior citizens of this community. They are the backbone. I would agree with that. And to me, it just seems we're doing them a disservice by continuing to not give them the services that we can do more with less. And that is why I made the motion. That's why I made the proposal. I don't know what's going to happen with the vote. But I just wanted to explain that to you, and that is my reasoning. But one of the things that was never mentioned is that we all love to go together over at the community center and convene with one another. It was never mentioned.
Something?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I qualify to speak on this subject since I are a senior by a few years. I'll be 76 in August, in fact. I guess I don't understand everything about a community like this. I grew up in the sticks of Pennsylvania, way out in the farmland, and we took care of our own. When my grandmother needed help, I got her up and got her on the potty. I took her where she needed to go. When my father had dementia, I took care of him. My brother took care of him mostly because he lived in Pennsylvania, but when he wanted to go somewhere, one of us took him. I understand the need for senior services, believe me, I do. But I just think it's being something that now it's a responsibility of the city to provide entertainment and services for the seniors and the youth and everybody else. And I understand that there is a need, there is a big need, there's a tremendous need for all of these programs that go on. But I sat here and took a whole bunch of health care off of our retirees. And then I had an email that suggested that I take some of that and fund senior services with it. That's despicable to me. I'm sorry. Anything that comes back, or any excess goes back to those retirees. They deserve it. I'm sorry. That's the way it is in my mind. I spent a lot of sleepless nights over the retiree health care, and I've spent a few on this because I don't want to throw the seniors away. No way in heck do I want to throw our seniors away. They deserve what little we give them, the breadcrumbs that we throw them. But what are we going to do? How many, Councilman Miller suggested pulling back. Well, maybe it's time to pull back from this. I have nothing against Nancy. I think she's a wonderful lady. I think she's done a tremendous job of what she has. Unfortunately, we can't give her what she needs to do the job. So where do we go from here? That's my question to you. Where do we go? Do we just keep throwing dollars at it and hope that, well, maybe, Council Miller said back in the day they had a $22 million budget, friends. We have a 17. That's $5 million. Nancy could use $5 million. I'm sure. 15. 15, I'm sorry. All right, I got over by 2 million. What's a couple million here or there among friends? Just some random thoughts that I laid awake a lot of nights and thought about. That's all.
Mayor Racy, go ahead.
Someone asked me, how are things going on council? And I said, it sucks. Tonight sucks. It really does. And I don't think anybody wants to get rid of senior services, but there's some stuff we got to look at. We can't afford to buy our own department's new equipment without going into debt right now. There's no extra money. I wrote these figures down. Katie, correct me if I'm wrong on any of these. We have about $10.8 million in bond debt right now. We pay $1.5 million per year just toward those bonds. That's it. That's where a lot of our money is going. And if this city is going to be economically viable, I mean, things are getting better, but they're getting better really slowly and not fast enough. And some people have said we've cut to the bone. Sorry, but we're going to have to cut even further. And yeah, as I said, it sucks. It sucks to be on council right now and have to make these decisions. But I want there to be a city in 20 years. I don't want to face receivership. And that's my reason. I'm going to vote the way I'm going to vote.
Mayor Racy.
Did you have anything? Or? Yeah, I got something. I'll let Tony go first.
Okay. To Mayor Pro Tem's Porter's points there, I'm not here, I don't think the residents are here to chastise the conscience of this council or this administration. But it's hard to wrap one's mind around the fact that we are a $15 million budget and 17.5 residents for every man, woman, and child in this community. That would come out to basically about $2 to be able to take care of the most vulnerable individuals in our community. Not all of us seniors are as privileged to have a pension or health care or some of those things. Some of them are just barely, or even have family relationships to be there to go over their home every day and check on them. So that's my concern, is we have an obligation, again, as a community, as a whole, to be able to have a connection, a communication with our senior elder community. It's vitally important. I just find it, us to shift it to other nonprofit organizations that are struggling as well in trying to feed the needy and provide some assistance for these individuals. We need to do our part. And I think I pointed out opportunities that we can reallocate some of our funding in some areas in this budget to be able to meet those needs. They are not a commodity. They are our people. They are our seniors. They are our mothers and fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers. And I'm sorry, they need us more than ever these days. That's all.
So between the last city council meeting and this meeting, I got exactly one phone call about senior services. And I gotta say, tonight is the most dialogue I've heard between now and then. But I had a comment made to me in the one conversation I did have, that, and this is a very generalized part of the conversation, but they said, oh, well, I guess you just want to just drive all the seniors to the graveyard by cutting senior services. And that's a wild generalization, to say the least. Do any of us want to do this? No. But we have to make a tough decision. And just like retiree health care, like Tom brought up, do we want to do any of that? No. We had to do what we thought was right to get us to the next part. And I just think if we tell the retirees who we sat up here and cried poor and said, we don't have this money for you, we have to do this, but, oh, we have some money for this program, we're going to do this, I think it's kind of a slap in the face to them. You know, we have a path that we need to go on to, and unfortunately, this is along that path. And it's nothing against Nancy at all. I know you do everything you can with the small allocation that you get. But something's got to change. We can't keep on this path and expect that we're going to get a different result, because we're not with what we can put towards it. So unfortunately, I think this is what we have to do at the moment. And kind of like Tony said, though, I do agree that we need to look into other things. We need to not just put this to bed and move on. I think we need to kind of find some ways to better outreach to our senior residents. So I will agree with you on that. And that's all I have.
Any other council members?
I just want to say that I'm not for dropping the program as the program. And I say that first and foremost. I think this is an eye-opener for everybody when you're faced with a decision that has a consequence and a result that will upset people in a whole class. I do think that we need to look at a transition and get creative. If anything, there should be an eye opener that we need to have a recommitment to our seniors. I too am an AARP car guy, so I do qualify. But on the other end of this, I understand the slippery slope that has occurred. And I wonder year after year where we, as a council, have passed through the same small budget and let this move through, but never put any water back on the senior program. Overall, I'm not for canceling it out. I'd rather see an energetic, collaborative effort to make it a grassroots program and develop something that would be better for the city in a more creative way. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Can you do a roll call vote? Want to repeat the motion again?
The motion on the table is to amend the budget to add $5,000 for senior services, eliminate the program, and to approve the budget as amended.
Could we also have a roll call vote on this one, please?
I already asked that.
Thank you. Just want to reaffirm that.
Okay, roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
No.
Councilman Miller,
No.
Councilman Webster,
Yes.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Yes.
Councilman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Dowd,
No.
Mayor Racy.
Yes.
We have a 4-3 vote. Motion passes. So 7C is to approval of the sale of city-owned vacant land on Fletcher Street in the amount of $2,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Question there.
Sorry.
Mayor, City Council, I don't disapprove of this sale, so don't get me wrong. But I was looking at the agenda online, and I noticed that one of these properties is located on Annapolis, is considered light industrial, that we're selling for $2,000. And the other one is a lot on Michigan Avenue, which there was no square footage or anything listed in the additional information. It was provided online. And I see it's only for $1,500. I would think the property on Michigan Avenue would be more expensive because it's in the Michigan Avenue thoroughfare. That's my only question. I don't understand.
Yeah. Lori, do you want to come and explain?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. That's a very good question. The Fletcher property is industrial, as he stated, and it is approximately 0.45 acres. The Michigan Avenue parcel, this parcel is going to be developed. The Michigan Avenue parcel will remain vacant land. The individual does not plan on developing it. It's kind of small for any type of a building, so that is why the price was arrived at, because he is going to take that parcel and then maintain it, so it is going to save us money. It's 8,712 square feet, so it does fall in line with what we've been selling city-owned land for per square foot.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7D is approval of the sale of city-owned vacant land at 35347 Michigan Avenue in the amount of $1,500.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7E is approval of a resolution to call a public hearing for Tuesday, June 18th, 2019, at 7 p.m. to consider streetlight special assessment district.
Motion to approve. Support.
Any questions by the council?
Do we yet know how much the assessment, I would assume it's because the last assessment is expiring. And do we know yet how much that assessment you're asking?
Mayor, members of the council, this public hearing that we're calling is for a renewal of the street lighting that currently exists. The numbers that are going to come out on the tax roll will be equivalent to last year's numbers. So whatever the street lighting amount was that you had on your bill in the winter will be the one that you see in the notice that you get, and that's what we're going to stick to for this coming up first year of the renewal, if it takes place.
Should I wait until the next meeting, or can I ask you, is it going to go up every year thereafter, and for how many years?
That's a good question, if I may. So the way that this street lighting program has worked, and as it's being proposed to continue to work, it's really to recover the cost of the electrical bill that we face, and that's adjustable. Sometimes it has mostly gone up. Last year it went down. So our what gets billed to the residents goes up and down with that cost, where we evaluate that each year from September to August, and based on that change, we adjust the street lighting bill in the winter to reflect that increase or decrease.
Okay. And I just want to say one thing, that this is at 7 o'clock on the 18th, just so people realize that it's at a different time.
That's correct.
Vern?
With the additional information that was provided online, I see you're asking for a 10-year contract instead of a 5. I would hope that you would leave it at 5 and review it at the end of 5. Thank you.
Are these the lights that go along Wayne Road or are these the lights that go into subdivisions?
It's both. It's everything.
All the lights. Okay, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here and tell you that I'm not happy with that. Because the areas in the north subdivisions, Legacy Estate, Whitney Knoll, they have lighting that really lights their streets. I have a wire that used to be Washington Street, but it's been vacated. I have a light that hangs there. It's a bulb inside a fixture. It's been that way since 1968. The trees that we have are large. My neighbors appreciate the fact that I turn on my porch light because that's what lights the city. I'm tired of the inequity of who has the best lighting and those who pay for their lighting.
Martha Burgess. It was my understanding when we got the new LED lights that our costs were going to go down. So why would the new assessment be the same?
That's one of the things I want to be looking into too. No, I said I'm still talking to the administration about that question, because I want to find out from DTE where the prices are, because I believe that they were going to go down some because of what we did.
Last time we had assessment was over at the community center. They're going to be held here.
It'll be here. Exactly.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So there are some good questions here tonight, and there are going to be a lot more.
Absolutely.
That's why we're calling the public hearing, so hopefully.
I agree.
Anybody that has some other concerns, they can come to that meeting and voice them then also.
Thanks, Mike. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7F is approval of change order number 1 for the 2019 Mildred Street Water Main Project in the amount of $197,600, bringing the total cost of the project to $884,060.68.
I was going to tell you not to sit down.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, in our last council meeting, we awarded our Mildred Street Water Main.
Hold on one second. Did I have a motion for this?
No, they didn't.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Thank you. In our last council meeting, we awarded Mark Anthony Contracting to work on our water main project on Mildred Street between Annapolis and Stellwagen. As we were getting ready to move into this project, we have some legislation that has been moving a little bit on us lately related to water services. We also have been discovering more about our water system for our house leads. And so the current state legislation is requiring the communities to replace once we disturb a water service, that we replace it all the way to 18 inches inside the home or to the water meter, whichever is less. This is new enough that when I worked with our other communities to try and understand who has been through this or what templates we might have to help us interact with the residents, I ended up having to go to Grand Rapids and Battle Creek. They are ones that have been ahead of us on this. Currently, the state requires us, like I said, if we touch a house lead for water, that we have to replace it into the home. And also, we had the Avondale number 3, we worked on in 2008. Avondale number 4, we worked on in 2009. This is Avondale number 5 that we're moving into right now with this project. In the previous projects, we only had a couple lead services that we were aware of. But again, as we're digging into this more, it became apparent that almost all of these services are lead or galvanized pipe with lead goosenecks, the type of connection that goes on to the water main. So both of those style are required to be replaced. So as things were moving rather quickly, this legislation, and by the way, is on appeal right now. It's still the rule that's in place. So when we have another water main project, this may or may not occur. But for today, these are the rules that we have to comply with. So I lost my train of thought for a second. I'm sorry. We do have to move forward with this. As this was happening quite quickly, I did ask the contractor to give us a price for these leads before he was awarded the contract in the last council meeting. We know what prices should look like for this water service. Then part of the background was we weren't willing to take the contractor to award in the last council meeting unless we had a price that was reasonable to take forward in this council meeting. So that's kind of what was happening in the background. It would have been too confusing to try and stick this change order in the last council meeting along with the award. So we broke it up into the two pieces.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions?
I do, yes.
I'm taking.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have a question. This may be a stupid question, but the appeals process, how long is that? There's no way we could wait until the appeals process is over?
No, we don't know that. Sometimes those go on for a very long time. It's Oakland County that is appealing this process. right now. So we are interested to see how this goes, but we have a water main that has many breaks in it, and it needs to be replaced, and this could go on for a very long time.
Thank you.
If I may, is this purely the added cost just to meet these new standards, or is there other parts within this that's part of the cost that you're asking for?
This is solely for those
New standards.
new standards. That's right, from the right-of-way line to the home.
Thank you.
Question. This is quite a substantial increase from the original, and understandable too. It's a lot of increase in work. At what point would it make sense to just rebid the whole project with the added work?
So if we hadn't gotten a price that we felt comfortable with before we brought this, we had actually put on the agenda in the last council meeting to award Mark Anthony. The understanding was if we couldn't come out to a fair price before we awarded the contract, that we would pull it before the previous council meeting. So by doing that, we still had the opportunity to have some good pricing on this, and we did review it, and we felt comfortable that the pricing was good. If we tried to rebid it now, we already have awarded it to a contractor. That might be kind of difficult.
Anybody else? Come on up.
Is this the project that goes along with the property that we sold for housing? Is that the reason that this is going on, or?
No.
You just decided to start digging holes and finding out what's going on, or?
I could back up and help with that a little bit. So we do have a water system that we're responsible for. And so we've had a program for quite some time. In 1998, we had a program that was called Water Main Replacement Phase 1. And in the couple years stalled in between there. So at one point, our water phases were lining up with the calendar years, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we got stalled, but we had fully intended our Phase 10 was going to be the Mildred Street area that we're approaching right now. So that got stalled a little bit because of the water meter program. It was a very large program and used a lot of our resources and our time, cost and time, our resources. So, but now we have an opportunity to get back at the water system again. This is an area that is of our highest need as far as the water main goes right now. So this is why we're attacking this area.
Mayor Racy. Yes, so this water line, slip lining ain't gonna cut it, right?
I'm sorry, there are two different, we have three major systems that we have to be accountable for in terms of piping, one being the sanitary, one being water main, and one storm sewer. The slip lining that we've been working on is largely for sanitary sewer. And so water main, though there has been some limited site slip lining application, largely that's not a very practical application for water main. So we're removing and replacing.
Okay. How long is this project gonna take?
The initial plan was to, through August 31st with the additional water service work, we're anticipating extra half a month.
This could be some major disruption in water service for parts of the community then, I would assume.
So we have some disruption. We try and minimize that as much as possible. We put a new water main in the ground first and we pressurize that, and then we test it to make sure it's clean so we can hook it up to our existing system. Once that has been pressurized and cleaned, then we do have to shut the water lines down for a short time to make those connections to the new, connect the new water main to the old system. So we're down there for a short time. And then we also are down when we disconnect our old service and connect it to the new water main. So there's a time there that we're down also. So yes, we are down at different times, but we do try and minimize that quite a bit.
And this sort of investment will be something that will last us the next 50 to 70 years per se?
This water main should last at least that long.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions? Victor?
Mr. Osborne, Mr. Mayor. Mayor, Council, somewhere in this, some documentation The original project over on Mildred was $666,000. Okay, million, thousand, 666. Okay? And that was approved through a vendor, okay? And they took bids and the lowest person got it and so on. And reading through the documents for Wayne here, now we want to slip in $197,000, which is almost $200,000. So the guy could make sure that he puts in, he could be in conformance with the Michigan Department Environmental Quality, now called CLAG. But anyway, MDEQ. Now, so there's another $200,000 that this, you say you just found out that it should have been done. If this person who was awarded the bid to begin with, they are licensed professionals and they should have known it and took it right from the get-go and asked Mr. Byton and said, sir, the price is going to be a little higher. You got to take care of this situation. I don't know why you went to Grand Rapids. Why not go to Flint, Michigan? You'll save the taxpayers a lot of money in gas. So therefore, this contractor who bid low at $666,000, and because he's a nice guy and he said he'd do the job to begin with, we hump him on there another $200,000. If there's an extra $200,000, what's wrong with having two contractors on the job? I want to see savings. Savings. If the man doesn't have the credentials to do the job, you bid it out wrong, we're in no hurry at all, not me anyway, because on Avondale Subdivision 8, the guys from the DPW have done a great job. They've sprayed it all for mosquitoes all over the place. But I have advised you in writing and in person and there, and you got this much standing water. From here to there, 5 feet. Standing water. They're all over the place. And as I advised you, if you don't fill it in with maybe some concrete, dirt or something, maybe somebody else will. I've had a lot of complaints. So I would like to see if the shoe doesn't fit, don't jump into the box and say, oh, he's a nice guy. We do business with him, so let's give him another $200,000. If it doesn't fit, if the shoe doesn't fit, rebid it.
Okay, anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Nay.
One nay.
Item 7G is approval of a 3-year professional services agreement with WCA Assessing LLC to provide assessing services to be paid from the Finance Department contractual services budget.
Get a motion. Can I get a motion first?
Move to approve.
Support.
Aaron, could you come up and explain what this is? Or Doug too? Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Aaron Powers. I'm with WCA Assessing. This is my partner, Doug Shaw. We're the two principal managing directors of the company. We provide the contractual assessing services here for the city of Wayne. Basically, we're responsible for essentially the assessing services. What we do is mandated by law. Every single jurisdiction requires an assessor that's certified at a specific level to be able to do and provide the assessing for that particular jurisdiction. We provide those services. Historically, those services, when I started in this business 30 years ago, oftentimes were city and municipal employees. That's no longer the case. Essentially, the entirety of the vast majority of jurisdictions in southeast Michigan have essentially contracted those services out simply because of the fact that there's very few individuals that are licensed professionals that provide these services anymore. We've been providing services for the city of Wayne for the last 6 years. We currently provide services for 23 of the 43 jurisdictions in Wayne County, plus a number of other jurisdictions outside of Wayne County as well. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You also, the size of your community and the size of your industrial class requires a master level assessing certification. We provide that, and Jennifer Neiman as your assessor.
Thank you.
In the perspective, there's 150 individuals in the state that actually hold, less than 150 individuals in the state that actually hold that certification. About 80 of them are actively signing roles for jurisdictions.
Mayor Racy, I do have a few questions. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming this evening. A couple questions. Why the escalation progressing every year for the following 3 years?
Why is our services escalating?
Yes.
Our primary cost is employees, so we have a staff of almost 30-something employees, and because of the competitive nature essentially within the business, we need to make sure that we can maintain and retain staff. And ultimately, our employee costs have probably increased well in excess of that. We have the same sorts of issues that I think all jurisdictions and businesses do. Our employee health care probably has averaged about 12 to 15% every single year, and our primarily costs are employee costs. And if we were to tell our employees that essentially you're not going to get a raise for the 3 years, or not have any particular increase or be able to cover our costs, we couldn't be able to do business profitably and provide services.
Aren't we all in that same boat?
Yes, we are.
Okay. That's what I was wondering about, controlling some costs here. My other question is, you indicated that the competitive market out there in your arena is very thin, per se. And that kind of made me want to question of why we did not go for an RFP, at least, on this. So you stated that there was 103?
There's less than 150 master level assessors.
Okay.
Certified in the state of Michigan.
Okay.
The last, I believe it was the state treasurer that was quoted on saying about 83 of those individuals are actively working. There were some legislative efforts earlier last year to change a lot of state laws as it related to assessing jurisdictions and districts. And the state looked at this issue because there has been such a shortage of individuals. Everything from changing the educational requirements and certifications. I like to say that we're appraisers just like everyone else is, but we also have to know the specific nuances of millage reduction fractions and tax collection and whether or not exemption statutes work. When we do our appraisals, it's not simply just for residential property.
Obviously, we need to have professionals, right?
Correct. So there's very few individuals that are within that, and it is a very competitive nature. I think that, by the way, we're hiring, if you know any certified assessors, we'd be really thrilled to speak with anyone in that arena. But there are just few individuals that are out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions?
If I remember correctly, the last three, Mr. Shaw and Mr., I forget your name. Nice to meet you.
Eric Powers.
First of all, is this contract currently up, or is this in advance of the contract being up?
It's currently up.
Our contract is expiring at the end of this month.
Okay, great. And secondly, I can appreciate the fact that we have an increase in, they have the increase in employee services or employee benefits. However, I do remember that when this was approved or 3 years ago, that we went out for an RFP and it wasn't just a professional service agreement. What determines what goes out for, that is hired as a professional service agreement and that which is done in an RFP? We had 3 different choices last time.
I don't recall going. I'll have Katie speak to that. She was here.
I wasn't here 3 years ago, but I did look back at the council agenda packet, and I only saw the one contract in there as an option. I don't believe it was bid out.
I can verify that 3 years ago, it was not, an RFP process was not followed through.
No.
The original contract 6 years ago, my memory, I don't recall if there was an RFP or not. Yeah.
And you're all, like you said, you guys are all over the state.
Well, yeah, we're the
You have
assessor
offices.
for the city of Westland, the city of Garden City, the city of Inkster, Canton Township, and other neighboring communities, Belleville, and
And you go up north to Grand Rapids and, yeah, you're all,
Kalamazoo.
yeah, okay.
Mayor AC? And, it's nothing against your qualifications whatsoever. I'm just looking out for the residents for the best value for us. And as you understand, you sat in on this budget here, you can see why. So it's nothing personally or professionally against your organization. I think you're a fantastic organization, but we have to do our job here too as well. So thank you very much for being here this evening.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Item 8 is administration reports.
Through the chair, I just have one item this evening. I'm going to have Lori, the Community Development Director, get up and talk about some exciting news for the city that we've been working on for probably several years now. So.
Yes, good evening again. I'll make it brief, but I do have some very exciting news this evening. As all of you do know that are sitting in front of me, and some of you in the audience, the city administration, the mayor, and the city manager have been working very closely for the last few years with the Department of Treasury. The Department of Treasury has heard our message, obviously loud and clear, and has been very instrumental in helping us accomplish a lot of things in the last couple of years. They did pass a message along to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and indicated that we really wanted to get through the RRC, the Redevelopment Ready Community process. The item that would have neglected us from getting certified, as you all know, would be the large expense to do a master plan, something the city simply doesn't have. I'm excited tonight to announce that we will begin our master plan revision in the very near future. Services will be, professional services will be provided by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation Redevelopment Ready Community Department. So they will be facilitating our master plan redo. So we will be working with a group, and it will cost the city nothing. Thank you.
Mayor Racy? Thank you. Mayor Racy, to the chair, I'd like to just ask the community development person, could you please provide the council with some updated information on that community ready program? Where our needs are in this, specifically in this community? What are those kind of checkoff lists per se for that program for us to try to encompass some success in this community?
Well, if you remember, I believe.
And I want that all to be with all the community. I do remember. We did talk about this for 4 years.
Can I finish, please?
I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to make sure you understood what I
Thank you.
had to say.
I just need to finish.
Thank you.
What I was wanting to say, no disrespect, but I was trying to say, if we remember, not long ago, I did provide a report to all of you. The report encompasses numerous areas for our redevelopment ready community certification. If you would like at the next meeting, I can bring the report. I'd be happy to report on what areas we are making significant progress. We did, myself and Maxwell from Main Street did meet with the professionals from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation a few weeks ago. They were also very pleased with the progress we're making. New forms, cutting red tape, looking at our ordinances, things of that nature. But if you'd like, Councilman, I'd be happy at the next meeting when I'm prepared to give a full report.
Yes, a hard copy, please, okay? That way we can have that in hand, since we're going to be going through this for the next 2 years.
Absolutely.
This will bring everybody.
I can get you another one, no problem. I'd be happy to give everybody another copy.
Thank you so much.
Mike, did you have anything this evening?
No items for me this evening, thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Go ahead and move the agenda.
Public comments for matters not on the agenda. Citizens are to limit their comments to 3 minutes. The city council asks that if you do have a question or concern, to bring it to the attention of the appropriate departments whenever possible. If you feel the matter has not been resolved satisfactorily, you are encouraged to bring it to the attention of the city manager. And if still not resolved satisfactorily, to the mayor and to the city council. The mayor, the city council, and department heads may not respond to the questions at the meeting, but will respond then by the next city council meeting or as soon as possible, once they have looked into the matter.
Your 3 minutes are up. Mayor, City Council, my name is Vern Amos, and I live on Stellwagen. I come to you tonight because I am the crossing guard supervisor for the city of Wayne. I've asked in the past for some help with traffic control from the police department. And we have gotten a little bit of help over the school season, but we definitely need more support on the given half hour that the kids are crossing to and from schools. Just yesterday, I was covering for a crossing guard that was sick, and a lady completely ran the stop sign at Taft School. It's just totally uncalled for, and the children are the ones that's going to suffer, and the crossing guards. And I don't quite understand why we can't take action on this issue before some child or a crossing guard gets killed. I hope that never comes to pass. On the same issue, I learned recently that the crossing guard budget comes out of the police budget. That's totally uncalled for. Our city should stand up and demand that that budget be paid for out of the school budget. And therefore, they can provide us with the pay increases that the crossing guards deserve, and some of the new street signs that need to be replaced, or trees that need to be trimmed so you can even see the signs as you're approaching them, and possibly even getting the crosswalks painted in a permanent paint that you cannot even see today, that were just recently painted by our own DPW. On the second subject is the neighborhood patrol. We don't have very many members left, and consequently, I'm asking for people to volunteer and come out and help the community by being a patrol off person at night. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, with your vote tonight on the budget, I would like to ask that by the next meeting of council, that you provide us with a plan in writing how you plan to dismantle the Senior Services Department, and how you plan to notify the citizens of Wayne, and particularly the seniors of Wayne, that you have done away with senior services.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, Chris Miller, Wayne. It's been brought to my attention that the fire department had to incur some extra costs for the charity barbecue due to a citizen. This charity helps kids, and I'm a citizen who supports the fire department and who wants this charity to be successful for the kids. I would like to pay this incurred cost to the fire department.
Oh.
Now if we could find somebody to do that.
Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, Mr. Miller, just like to thank Mr. Miller for this generous donation. This is great. You're going to help our charity barbecue.
Our barbecue is going to be June 22nd, 11 to 2 at the station. It's a fun time. Tons of kids are going to be there, bounce house, get to play with the fire hose. So $5 gets you a hot dog, hamburger, pop, chips, ice cream. So it'll be a good time. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Awesome. Thank you.
I usually don't have to do this, but I'm going to have to tell you that I am not a member of Westlands Senior Center. I do like to put puzzles together there, and on my way from my chiropractor back home, Newburgh Road is my main highway, and it's easy to stop there and enjoy putting a puzzle together. I could do that in the library if I could be assured that the kids wouldn't try to eat them or take them home. Important questions. Michigan Avenue East and West. The do not turn on red signs are useless. You need to put them up on that dang bloomin' sign that we looked at with the lights. People go around them on Michigan Avenue East all the time, besides running the red lights. Just don't get me started on that. The one on Michigan Avenue, west is same problem. They get beyond it, go over the crosswalk, they don't see it, they just take off. I'm also trying to address the recycling and education of our citizens about recycling. I actually had to go dumpster diving because they cannot put their recyclable items in large plastic black bags or any bags. They have to open them and dump them in the container. Otherwise, somebody on the conveyor belt grabs that big bag, flings it backwards, and one person over there goes and flings it in a thing that goes to the landfill. We need to educate our citizenry. They may get upset about it, but if they want it recycled, they got to do it. I'd be happy to go to the library and put puzzles together or even play with the children and read books. But I don't always know the hours that they're open. So it's not like a community center where it's open all the time. I'd like to know if anybody can tell me why in the world Wayne County came through after a 2-year span of putting the road down and ripped it up and put it back down. On Wayne Road from Michigan Avenue West to Glenwood. They couldn't find a place to put the money?
Good afternoon, members of council. First off, thank you, Chris Miller. I'm honored to call you friend. That was a generous donation to our wonderful fire department. Tomorrow, Wednesday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. at the Village Hill Theater on Cherry Hill, Northwest Fan Chapter, it will be having a seminar called A Closer Look. The keynote speaker is Ken Daniels, who is currently the play-by-play announcer for the Detroit Red Wings. He lost his son to addiction, so he will be there sharing his story and others. There will be numerous things there and presentations to help families learn about the signs of opioid addiction. Recently, we just gave rewards to 2 police officers that had to revive someone from Narcan. We don't want it to keep going. We want to stop this stigma and this thing. So please come out. A lot of the presentations will be geared to 6th grade to 12th grade for families to understand how their kids are getting involved in this epidemic of opioids. So please come out at 6 p.m. tomorrow night and learn and educate yourself to save our youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Kathy Rockwell, I'd just like to thank Mayor Pro Temp and Councilman Dellum, Mr. Miller, Councilman Miller, how they voted for the seniors. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And Kelly, I just quite don't understand how the $5,000, how's it going to be given out to the seniors for transportation? How do you plan to do that? You don't know?
I can't answer today.
Okay, and I would like to make a comment. I did talk to Kelly. She called me the other day, and when I did tell you about people wanting to get together and sit and do puzzles and sit and play chess and that's when we had the old building. We don't have that available now, so you misspoke yourself. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Go Rays here. I work at Community Living Services, and you know, May is a lot of things been going on. Even May, let's talk about that too, is the Mental Health Awareness Month, where right now I got trained for an ambassador program. There's 14 people, not just from the people from the disabilities, people from recovery, people from parents, making mental health is a very awareness of services that DWMHA is doing in Detroit. So that's the authority. So they offer a lot of services. So down the road, I'm going to be going to places and doing presentations. I already talked to Wayne Police, and I think the community group that they're doing, that he does, that I'm going to be doing one with him with the Ambassadors Program, letting people know that mental health does matter. Mental health can affect us all in this room today. And it's very important that we be kind to one another. Someone might be going through some hard times and you don't even know it. So that's what it's all important about, to make an awareness. I wanted to say, I was real happy tonight to see the Wayne Police get an award for, from them robberies like that. They're putting their lives in jeopardy, and saving lives for people like that. And we need to thank them every day. And even the fire department, saving lives out there too. And the next thing I'm going to talk about, I'm doing a webinar, May 23rd, from 1:30 to 2:30. I already gave one to the one council person. Lisa, you're going to give one too. It's about language, and it's about, there's so much stigma out there with people with disabilities, and we're changing the floor mat here. Everybody has the right to be in the community, and there's people out there have homes, people out there that are in the community doing things like me, driving a vehicle, and out there making a difference for people. And if I can do it, others can do it. And this webinar is going to be really good, and language does matter. And what is the bottom line of it all? It's called respect. Definitely about respect, because, I'm taking this from the classroom, putting it into the community. I trained the fire department a couple of years ago on it, but now the word got out with my agency. There's still a lot of stigma, and the language does matter, and I'm looking forward to it. I walked it, I lived it, and I know what it feels like. So you know what? People are looking up to me now. I can remember years ago, people say no for an answer. People just ignore you. But we're not like that anymore. This is not the 60s, the 70s, or the 80s. We are living a life now. Big changes. So I want to see down the road people being treated equally. Means people can change their mind and go somewhere else with their business.
Okay.
If people use wheelchairs, they are welcome.
Okay.
Walkers.
If you can wrap it up, your pastor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, your problem. I just wanted to,
So I'm just going to make it short here and just saying, thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to this big webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the first time I've ever done that.
Eric.
That over like that. Thank you.
Good guy.
Hi, last Saturday, we had a Parks and Trail cleanup ended up being both Washington and Mill Trail, and Evadale Park as well. It was a good day for us. Thank you to everybody who turned out for that. Our next cleanup is gonna be June 1st, and we're meeting over at Avondale. I just said that. Either way, Avondale's where we're gonna be cleaning June 1st. I wanted to also thank Lenny Powell for putting on the naloxone training or Narcan, if you wanna call it that, over at Hype. That was a good class. All of us attended, got kits for that, so hopefully a couple more of us can save some lives if needed. And lastly, put a number of ordinance complaints in a few weeks back between Merriman and Van Born on Michigan Avenue. Several of those businesses started cleaning up. The old TV repair shop took their sign down. Wayne Burger Grill took their sign down. They retired the roof, painted the whole building. They've got a for sale sign up there. We're hoping to get some new tenants out there soon. And I just want to say I appreciate everybody who's trying to make it better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, go ahead and move the agenda.
Item 9 is items for next agenda.
Okay, go ahead and move the agenda.
Comments from members of City Council.
Okay, Councilman Webster.
Me? Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I got a couple things tonight. Upcoming, there is going to be a public safety meeting here at City Hall, June 13th at 7 p.m. It's going to be held by the police department. So if you're interested in seeing what's going on, please come up for that. As Eric said, our next cleanup is going to be June 1st at Avondale Park, starting at 11 a.m. Our next Parks and Trails meeting is Tuesday, June 11th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. The Rotary 2 structure build-out is going to be June 28th and 29th. They're looking somewhere between 8 and 10 hours it's going to take to get this done. So if you can come out either one or both of those days, it'd be greatly appreciated. And then lastly, just two more things. I've been talking to Kim at Helium. I wanted to drop off some of our magnets and some flyers, and so she could put those out. And within 10 minutes, she already had a post up on Facebook, magnets sent up in there. So I just want to thank Kim for that. So if you go into Helium, she does have some of those items there. And the cleanup last week, we didn't have quite the turnout that we were looking for, but I think we still kind of equaled our productiveness that day. We took about 60 bags of trash out from the trails. We pulled out shopping carts, dressers, tires, all sorts of different things. So, I mean, it was a good cleanup. We did get a lot of garbage and debris out from the trail, so I appreciate everyone that came out. The chief actually painted the signs both on Wayne Road and Elizabeth, so if you do go by and see them, they look fantastic. We can add a master sign painter to his list of accomplishments now. So, and I want to thank Eric and his family. They've been out to both cleanups, and they've been a tremendous amount of help, so I want to give him a shout out as well. Other than that, I will go ahead and pass.
Councilman Skiff.
Thank you. I just wanted to say congratulations to Chad Caldwell on his award tonight for Police Officer of the Year. It's a great accomplishment, and congratulations on that. I have a flyer here from Beaumont that for free mammogram service for anybody who is uninsured or underinsured. They are giving free mammograms. We had flyers here for telephone numbers that you can contact them to receive that service. And lastly, I just wanted to thank those who I spoke to in the last couple weeks about the vote tonight. I know that you're disappointed in my decision probably and the way things went, but I did feel that I addressed the issues that were brought to me. And I know that oftentimes politicians are accused of voting on things that they themselves are not going to be impacted by. So I just wanted to tell you tonight that I did not know this. I thought 50 was the new 30, but apparently it's the new senior. So 20 days from now, I will also be joining that group myself. And in order to familiarize myself with the services that I have suggested that the citizens of my city go to, I too will be joining the Friendship Center. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Racy. A few upcoming events I want to pass on to everyone. The Veteran Memorial Parade is going to be occurring on Wayne Road on May 26th, this coming Sunday. It starts at 1 p.m. Please join. Also, the Friends of the Rouge is also having a strategic goals meeting. They're going to do a little bit explaining of what their strategic goals would be in our community in particular, as well as the whole Rouge River. And that's going to be at the Jefferson Barns on May 28th at 6 p.m., I believe. Also, I just want to mention that Planet Fitness is providing free membership for students from 15 to 18 years old. I think it's a great opportunity being out of school to find some of these activities for our kids that are so we know that they're in the right place, when they're out of school. Also, I want to mention Hype Center also has really great intensive sports programs for students as well. So I would not want to remiss not to mention them as well. Also, I want to thank some of the little details that are happening in our downtown in Derby's Alley. We have some crafted signs saying Derby's Alley. Also, we've got some bike racks been installed throughout the community. These little details do mean something for our downtown. It is in the detail of making our downtown Tiverton, along with the business owners in their storefronts, in facets, etc. Also, I want to thank for the council for acknowledging Cycle Month. And I also want to extend my, our thoughts and prayers for a resident and his family who happened to have been involved a few days ago in a cycle accident. He's really struggling at this point. So please keep your thoughts and prayers for the Law family at this time. Also, I would like to mention that we have a Congress Coffee and Conversation with Rashida Tlaib. That's going to be May 30th at 6 p.m. at our very own Karma Coffee. I also want to mention, and I think this was mentioned before, but I think it's well worth mentioning, is that U.S. News and Reports recognized Wayne Memorial with the Bronze Award. This Bronze Award is given to schools that have exceeded the state average on graduation and scoring and so forth. And so big hands out to Principal Weber and the staff there at the Wayne Memorial High. Last but not least, let's see. I want to mention about safety and about this upcoming Memorial Weekend. Buckle up. We should be buckling up all the time. And if you're going out of town, let somebody know that your house is, that somebody is watching it or taking care of the mail. Those little details that can help making coming back, uneventful per se. And it's just doing those little things that can make a difference in keeping our safety wise and our homes safe. And with that, I will pass. Thank you. Oh, happy Memorial Day.
Councilman Dowd?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, just want to, I really am very proud of our public services and the award, and to hear the story today and to read the story about the officer and the heart and dedication is fantastic. And I think it goes well beyond one officer, I think, under your direction. And the great things are still, we're going to have a lot of great stories. We have a lot of great stories with all of our public services, and I'd just like to celebrate the great effort and support we have from them. A thank you. The parade, looking forward to actually being in the parade. Not a clown, not Santa Claus.
Clowns are banned.
No clown suits. Anyways, looking forward to participating as part of the city and representing the city. Lastly, it's never easy to make the decisions that we make up here. They have extenuating ripple of consequence. I hope that what is the senior services is something better from this line forward. I hope it's a collaboration that we get creative, both management, the people, the residents, other communities. We already have that kind of attitude with the Nankin Transit. We collaborate with other cities. With our school district, we collaborate with other cities. We've done it in the fire department. Why not in this exact department? So with that, I'll pass.
Councilman Wagner?
Thank you. I wanted to say thanks again to Chris Miller for really stepping up and helping out the fire department. It really saddens me that someone had to complain about some technicality which is going to cost the fire department a lot of money. But it's great to know we have citizens like Chris Miller who really stood up, helped out the fire department so that they can continue doing the charitable work that they want to do. Thank you to everyone who showed up at the Washington Trail cleanup. We did some hard work. Thanks to DPW guys, it was really quite a challenge to get those grocery carts out from down the hill. The DPW guys had to go back to the shop and get one of their tree ropes, and we ended up hooking that. Yeah, we winched up those grocery carts and brought them up the hill. And I want to thank everyone who participated in the cookie stroll, and especially all the businesses who participated. I think that was a great way to get to know some of our local businesses here in Wayne. Other than that, I don't need to go through that. I'll pass. Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. I, along with Mayor Racy, had the privilege of attending opening day at the Wayne Baseball Association on Saturday. I know that we should have been at the Mill Trail cleanup, but we really we really needed to be there instead.
Absolutely.
We're really sorry we missed it, but anyway, thank you to all the volunteers of the Wayne Baseball Association. They do a fantastic job. Mayor Racy got to throw out the first ball. They didn't even let me catch, but I probably couldn't have done it anyway. But I think it's really fantastic, the job that the Wayne Baseball Association does, and I think we all should support them. One little note, and this is addressed to Mayor Racy. Can we go casual next meeting?
Yeah, we can do that after Memorial Day. We can go to.
That's right,
Yeah, we
and
can do
that's
that.
after
Yeah.
Memorial Day.
Yep, that's.
Thank you,
good
that's
with
all.
that. Okay. Thank you. I'm addressed a few things, and I want to talk about a couple other things. There was a question about the Wayne Road construction. I could go ahead and answer that tonight. There was issue with the contractor that they put out, the material that they put out was faulty, and we realized it right after first week that there was a problem, and they came out and got that fixed for us at no additional, I mean, that was the county that was doing it, but that was the issue. And our staff did a great job in making sure they hammered home the fact that it could not take a long time. And so we got that done in 2 days. We pushed that very, very hard on them. And I mean, because we all were very upset that this was even this issue because of how long it took for our residents and also for our business owners that really hurt their businesses over the last summer. But there was a lot of circumstances in that with the strike that happened that they couldn't have foretold and just a lot of issues. But I was glad to see that done and have that behind us. And now we have our downtown days and concerts and all these different things that'll be happening this summer that we don't have to worry about them doing that piece of construction on us, so that's a good thing. And as the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, we got the chance to go over and work with the Wayne Baseball Association, and that was a lot of fun. I had a good time talking with the kids. It was just interesting to have conversations with them and see where they're at the beginning stage of learning about baseball, and how when you ask them who their favorite player was, that they would point to another kid, and that they were the best kid. I mean, they had no idea who baseball players. I don't think one could answer that question. So, but it was very cute, and the people that are working out and been volunteering for years for the Wayne Baseball Association have done a great job in doing that. I did notice while I was out there some things that I'd like to address at some point when we can, with some drainage issues on the field for where the fans would stand and trying to get to the bleachers. There's some issues there that we have to try to figure out some grant money or whatever we need to do to make that better. But all in all, it was a great day. They rained out their parade. That's gonna be at the end of the season on their last day. But it was definitely good, and it was pretty funny that the kids, having no idea when they wanted me to throw the first pitch, the kids were standing like right next to the plate. And I'm like, yeah, can you move them just back a couple feet? Just give me a little space here. I didn't want to hit one of them. So, but it was a lot of fun. I also got a chance to go to Maple Manor last week and honor them for Nursing Home Week, and they do a great job with their facility and working with all types of people, and have done a great job. Also, last week I got an invitation to meet with our governor for a meet and greet before a conversation that she had on the budget, and that was good. It was able to give her a packet about our city and be able to give some more information about our what's going on, just trying to see what we can do to get her attention also. And one of the interesting things, she talked about the gas tax, and everybody talks about how we can utilize marijuana money to pay for the roads. That was a question that she gets quite often. So they figured out what that would take, and she said, I'm not advocating for this because it would take every man, woman, and child to spend $2,500 on marijuana throughout the entire state to make that work, to do our roads. So it just kind of puts in perspective, a different type of perspective when people are saying that, what that means. And then next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, there's going to be a dedication by the Rotary for a Veterans Memorial Rock that was dedicated on May 30th, 1966 by the Wayne J.C.'s, and it should be a nice little time. This was a memorial that was put up after there was an old memorial that was made out of wood, and this was the replacement to that before they put the one by the library. But it's been moved because the property was sold that was on, and it's been moved over to the museum, and that's where we'll have the ceremony. And then I got a chance to have dinner with the chief of police last Friday night. Our police department was honored by First Step, and for their support of helping the shelter over there and working with them on domestic violence issues within the city and throughout. And it was a great honor to be there. And what our police are doing for them, hearing different stories, I'd really like at some point, because I don't know, as we've had changeover for our staff and our council, maybe to take a trip over there and really see what that facility is, because it's doing a great service for our region, and I think it's something that we should all be aware of, the great work they're doing. And then I just want to close with this. I just want to thank everybody that worked on this master plan that was announced earlier. This is a huge deal for moving the city of Wayne forward. This is something that we have not had, and it hasn't been done in 60 years. So this is one of the key pieces to be able to get grants, to find out where we're going, till you get this down on paper and work this piece. This is a key element to making everything happen. So great work by everybody to make that happen. And with that, if I can get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.